Motion righteous, the Almighty. Raw splitting the sea into that clear sight. Go far intuition, lifting up that soul right. High low, high low, high low, high low. Elevate my love, generate my touch. Everything I see coming to me.
I can be honest with my people. And when I'm honest with my people best know how to serve me. It's no different than being spiritual and talking to God in your spirits in prayer. When I'm real with myself and real with the spirit best knows how to aid me. You understand? And so we have to think about these things.
So before we get into the juices of meeting our twin flames and all that good stuff, what is a twin flame to you?
It's your mirrored soul. It's your divine partner. It's literally you, just in another body. And when I say it's the balance of the masculine and the feminine, it can be two men together, it could be two women together. It's just who carries what more dominant energy. It's the combination or the representation of holy love. It's love with a purpose, because your twin flame is someone you are agreed to incarnate with in this dimension, to perform a particular task, to raise the vibrations of earth, to
generate my touch. Everything I see coming to me, I'm knowing.
But you can hear me. There we go. My camera's on. You guys couldn't see me. I had to switch on the camera. I apologize for my tardiness. I had to wrap up a session. I was doing a reading, so I was a little late today. Anyhow, greetings. Happy Wednesday. I pray that you guys' Wednesday is going well, that you had a good Wednesday so far. I've had an intense weekend and past few days. However, we are here. That's why my voice is a little cracky. Oh, darn. My voice is a little cracky, so please be patient with me. If you cannot hear me well, please let me know. I'm opening up the chat so I could see. But good night, beautiful people. And I appreciate you all for coming in. And I thank you all for coming in here tonight. Let me see here. There's some interesting comments coming in here. I don't know who some of these people are, but interesting. Let's see here. Anyway, we're gonna have a we're gonna can I delete this? I don't know. Anyway, I don't know. Anyway, that was interesting. But I thank you all for coming in tonight, and I'm very excited about tonight's discussion because it's very near and dear to my heart as far as my personal journey and experience. And I think having this discussion tonight, a lot of you all will be able to benefit from it. There's some interesting comments coming in, so don't mind that. But anyway, I would definitely like to hear you guys' thoughts and opinions and any questions that you have. Tonight, myself will be doing the show. Yeah, we'll be doing a show tonight. And so Rain is not available to, let me see. Rain is not available tonight. Let me put on this here. Okay. So anyway, we are talking tonight about growing up Christian and hearing the call of spirit, dealing with, like, you know, for those of you that may have come from Christian upbringing or Christian background or even Jewish background or Catholic background or Islamic background, a lot of us have these unique gifts and abilities. especially being melanated people, we we're naturally intuitive. A lot of us say, "Oh, I'm an empath," or "Oh, I see things," or "Oh, I feel things." But you may have come up in an environment where you weren't allowed to discuss those things. You could have been seeing things walking in your house. You could have been seeing and feeling, dreaming certain things, and weren't allowed to discuss these things with people around you. You may not have been able to discuss these things with people in your church or friends or family because you were either told that you were crazy, or you felt that you were off because society has taught us to feel a certain kind of way about our gifts and our abilities. And so I want to talk about what that can be like sometimes, and the struggle, but also for myself, the victorious side of the coexisting in that space, having a Christian background, and not necessarily turning my back on the church, because I would never do that, but more so shifting my thoughts, shifting my perception, and how I see and understand God for myself, and how I see and understand the Bible for myself. Because you will hear a lot of things like, communicating with the dead is bad, or uh, acknowledging the dead is a bad thing. That's something you shouldn't do, or dream interpretation is taboo, or you may have been told that people that have the gift to see, whether that is seeing past, present, future, whether that is seeing forms, shapes, figures, orbs, colors, numbers, symbols, all of that. A lot of times you were told that that's just not okay. That's just not what we do. We're not doing that. And you're not allowed to do that thing, or that you're going to go to hell for doing that, or that's devil work, or, and all of that. You hear these things. And so you sit with yourself and you're like, am I going to hell for these gifts? Am I going to hell for being able to pick up people's energy? Am I going to hell for being different? I used to ask these questions. I used to ask these questions all the time, because from a child, I could see. I could see spirits like I'm looking at you. It's not the same now as an adult. Um, but I could see not just forms, but I would see people walking, talking. Some would not talk, some would just stand there, some would move, some would not. And many times it would keep me up in the night. Like I would sleep, I would be sleeping good. And next thing you know, it's like spirit wakes me up and I'm seeing something standing next to me. You understand? Where I'm seeing something walk down the hallway. And so I would tell my mom, like, who I saw, what I saw, describe it. And my mom does not have that ability. And if she does, she's not shared it with me. So she doesn't have that ability. And my mom never said I was crazy. And she never said it wasn't true. She just never paid it any mind and was like, ignore that, or you need to pray, things like that. My mom didn't burn candles. My mother did not light incense. My mother did not, anoint the house and do all of those things. My mother was not that person. And so I would do that because I remember reading about incense in the Bible. And so I would get up, have incense sticks, thanks for my grandfather, but I would light my incense sticks and walk the floor, and burn incense while everybody is sleeping. You know, I was just naturally, I just naturally felt to do that. And so, with that being said, my ancestors started to visit me more, And it was very, Alafia, it was very unique because before I started seeing, I would feel things. Like even now, like that's something that hasn't left. I would feel, and hairs would stand up, goosebumps would stand up, all of these things. And I would start to have these experiences where, had I gone to just say a funeral, whether I knew the person or didn't know the person, mind you, I'm not even in middle school yet. I would go home that night and either dream or wake up from my sleep and see with my natural eyes, like like the room would transform, like I would see those person last days and how they died, you know. Um, and so it got to the point my mother was like, "Oh, you're not going to funerals anymore. We're not doing that. You can't go to funerals. You can't go to cemeteries. You're not going to funeral homes. You can't be around the dead." You know, my mother had to stop that because it was affecting me. And my mother, again, not being highly spiritual, she didn't know what to do. And so there were moments where I had to go and spend time with my grandmother, go and stay at my grandmother's house. My mother would drop me off because, again, these spirits were riding, not riding me, but they were traveling. You know, they were annoying me. You know, and so and my grandmother would do what she does. Again, my grandmother wasn't lighting candles. My grandmother definitely didn't burn incense either. But my grandmother was a praying woman. So she would turn on that gospel music and start to walk the floor and pray, or just break out in hymns. Father, I stretch my hands to thee, know the help I know. You know, and honestly speaking, it is my grandmother and my mom's oldest brother, my Uncle John, that helped me to strengthen and develop a prayer life. Not just going to church, but actually really making time to pray and getting into tune with that and the benefits of that. Started young. And so when those moments would start to happen, I would be by my grandmother, especially on the moments when it would be intense. I wouldn't even go to school. You know what I mean? It was that times I had to miss days of school because of it, you know. And so fast forward to now, my ancestors are visiting me. I'm still going to church, very active in the church, singing in the choir, serving as an usher on the ushers board, very active in church. Church never stopped. We didn't miss church. You know, my family are in leadership in ministry, so that was very much so a part of my life. But my ancestors were very much so present. My great grandmother, Myra B. Springfield, Iba Shea Gungun, after when she was on her deathbed, my great grandmother, all my life, I was still only a child. I was probably like the third or fourth grade, between third and fourth grade. Um, I think I was actually a little bit younger. So between the second and fourth grade, I'm gonna just say within that window of time. I don't know the exact age. My aunt would have to tell me the year. And but anyhow, this month or so of my great grandmother, my great great grandmother, not my great grandmother, my great great grandmother, my great grandmother's mother, so Myra B. Springfield, when she was on her deathbed, I remember my grandfather picking me up from school and taking me to my great great grandmother's house. Now, like I said, she was blind. She could not see during my lifetime, but she would feel your face, all these things, all of that, and she would know who you are. And my great great grandmother always smelled so sweet, always smelled like flowers. It was always a floral scent in the air. And she was very dark chocolate with white, snow white hair, full head of hair, snow white. And when my grandmother was on her deathbed, and I guess she knew she was leaving, you know, at that time, again, I don't know nothing from nothing. My grandmother started to lay her hands on me and pray. And I could recall her funeral at the church. I know the church name and all that. I ain't gonna give all that information, but anyhow, I could recall her funeral like yesterday. Not every detail, but you know, key moments of that funeral I could recall like yesterday. The colors we wore, the color of the church don't look the same no more. All of that, you know. But that night, and for years, at least 2 years after that, My great grandmother visited me every night in all white. Every night, Myra B. Springfield came, and it used to scare the hell out of me because it started where my mom had lived in a two-bedroom house, apartment, not house, but two-bedroom apartment. And me and my sister shared a room. And we used to have a queen-size bed, a big bed, and this is the bed, and this way is the closet. Closet door would be closed, and that door would open up. Scary as shit. That door would open up, and Myra B. Springfield would be standing there in my closet way, in all white, and it would be a glow. That would freak me out so bad. I would cry. Again, she wasn't coming to scare me. She wasn't hunting me. She was like very peaceful. My grandmother always smiled, but she was watching and she was just standing there. And then there would be moments I could be sitting in the living room or something, and again, I would see my grandmother just, even now my hair starting to rise. Jesus. Even and my eyes getting wordy. Thank you, Grandma. But she would be standing up in the room, just watching. She never talked. I don't recall her ever talking to me, but she would always be standing there watching. And then it got to a point again now, fast forward a little bit, that initiated me to start to set an altar. By this point in time, we live in my grandmother's two flat building, and we had a fireplace, an all white fireplace, and I had built my first altar. My grandmother showed me what to do. Now again, Myra B never had an altar, but them ancestors showed me how to build one, and it was beautiful. And I would spend a lot of time at night by that altar lighting candles and burning incense, and my ancestors would visit me, boy. And that's where a lot of things shifted for me. Again, this was no secret because I'm telling my mother, I'm telling my grandmother. But then where things got intense and a little scary is where I began to get what is called like witch writings. I don't know if you guys ever heard of witch writings. Comment if you ever heard of being rode in the night by a witch or witch writings. Right there. Yes, she making her presence known for real. I start to experience witch writings in the night. And my grandfather came up from Greenville, Mississippi. My granddad who's here with me, his father came up from Greenville, Mississippi, and taught me about taking salt baths and putting a little bit of ammonia in the bath and a little bit of vinegar in the bath to clear them wild spirits. He talked to me about, and he's the one that told me it was witch writings. He taught me how to line my window with salt and my doorways with salt and get a lime and put it in the corner. I learned this from my grandfather. He never told me about no candles. He didn't talk about candles, but he talked about work. And so that's where my earlier teaching started. Again, never left the church, still very active in the church, but this presence of spirit was very much so all around me. Very much so all around me. And I could not deny it, and it was not deniable. But when I began to get serious in ministry work, serving in the church, teaching in the church, working as a young minister in the church, and actively traveling and all those things with my elders and my family and all of this, no more altar. My mother was like, no more. No more altar, no lighting candles, no burning incense in the house. And I was just very much so enthralled in church. It wasn't like a hate thing or a bad thing. I'm still very much so intuitive, still very much so active and aware of what's around me and what is around me spiritually. But I loved my life in church. I love singing. I love preaching. I love listening to the gospel. I love hearing good preaching. I loved all of that. And even in church, especially for those of us that have the sight, the ability to see, we would see, at least for me, I can only speak for me. I know I would see spirit in the church. I would see angels in the church. I would see orbs in the church. You understand? I would see old people that was not physically there, but there in the church, and so I knew that ancestors were real. And I knew that there's something about acknowledging ancestors and energy was important. I didn't start to research. I ain't gonna lie, yes, I didn't start to research until I was about in seventh. Nope, that's a lie. I was about in the fifth or sixth grade. Yeah, we had dial-up internet, what is it, DHL, DSL, or whatever, the dial-up internet with the long yellow cord. You understand? I was researching about like astrology. I was very curious about my side. I started there. I wanted to know about little things about my astrology. I wanted to know and get interpretations about the things I was seeing in my dreams because God was taking me places. I was traveling and seeing certain things that, again, I wasn't getting the answers in church. I was having spiritual visitation, you know, and getting great downloads that were connected to scripture, but yet not directly in scripture and not conveyed and taught in the church. And so I had to do what I had to do, which was go online. I went on Bing and typed in, what does it mean when you see this blase blase, and research, and I started to develop knowledge. I wasn't purchasing books because I didn't have my own money. I didn't have money to buy books, and I wasn't going to the library to check out books. I utilized Bing and would research those things, equivalent to Google, and just begin over time develop a prayer life. And it was very unique how my prayer life started to shift. It was interesting because I was going to a missionary Baptist church, but something inside of me was like, you need to learn the rosary and you need to pray the rosary. Shout out to Mama Walker for blessing me. One of my teachers, when I went to Crete-Monee Middle School, blessed me with a rosary from Vatican City, and so I incorporated that when they were in church doing devotion and we leaning down while the deacons are praying and the mothers are praying, I would be rolling my rosary at the same time. I still have that rosary, rolling my rosary. And because I began to identify and understand the saints. And I start to identify and realize the sacredness behind just that discipline of the rosary, not just say the power of the rosary, but the discipline of praying the rosary and the focus that it takes to pray the rosary. Because yes, you would think it's easier repeating the Our Father and the Hail Mary and the Apostles' Creed. You understand? You think that's easy 1, 2, 3 times, but imagine doing that consistently. And it's not just to get it out and say it, but it's the discipline behind the mystery. You start to feel that. And so again, I incorporated that with my journey. And as time evolved, here it is. I'm in 8th grade, getting ready to graduate. And as I'm walking out of the school, I hear the voice of God saying, "Hi, Arlinda. Greetings, my dear." I hear the voice of God saying, "You need to go and talk to Terry." Now, fast track, Terry is, or was, my mother's co-worker, who was full-blooded Native American from Texas. Shout out to Terry, and she was a reader. She read for people she could see, but she was over the mental health department. So her position at my mom's job was to be responsible for the mental wellness of the residents, and the facility. And so here now, I'm walking to my mom's office and I'm having a whole conversation with God. It's not a far walk from the school to my mom's office, but long story short, I'm talking to God. And I'm like, "God, really? You want me to go and talk to Terry?" My mom is going to think I'm crazy. She's going to curse me out. You understand? For going and talk to this woman about these things. And that was not the case. I get to my mother's job, tell my mother, "Ima, I'm going to talk to Terry. The spirit told me I need to go and talk to Terry." She said, "Okay." And went back to working and crunching numbers. And I remember knocking on Terry's door. Terry was sitting in her office chair scrolling something on her phone. And she said, "I knew you was coming. I was just waiting. I knew you were coming." And when I got in Terry's office, she closed the door that led to the hallway that that all the colleagues could see. Closed the door, clapped 3 times, turned off the light, and did like this. down my back. You understand? Mind you, I never knew about Reiki. I never knew about channeling. I never knew these terms. I never knew none of that. She did not touch me, but she's doing this behind my back. You understand? Just like I'm doing it by the computer and I'm not touching it. And I could feel like these little tingly sensation. And I was like, Terry, what are you doing? And she says, I'm reading you. I'm reading your energy. I'm getting a read. And the first thing Terry sees, Myra B. Springfield. And this is how she tells me. She said, I see this slim, kind of tallish, dark woman with white hair. And she's showing me altars. I said, Terry, you said, what? She said, I see this dark woman with white hair. I instantly knew Myra B. Springfield. That was all I needed to know. Dark-skinned woman with white hair and altars. Myra B. Springfield, my great-great-grandmother came to talk to this Indian woman for me. And in that moment, again, the goosebumps and my hairs standing up and my eyes getting heavy and watery. So truth is something you could feel. Truth is something you could feel. Truth, you don't need, we have a natural lie detector test within us that you know when something is just real. And she told me plain, I said, Terry, I said, that's my grandmother. That's my great-grandmother. And she said, she showed me altars. I said, no. I said, Terry, my mother had to tell you about them altars. And in that moment, I heard my grandmother say, no, and mind you, I never heard my grandmother in the spiritual realm. All those times she was visiting me, never heard her. And I heard her say, your mother would be too embarrassed to tell anyone about those altars. And that shifted everything for me. Terry said, your grandmother said, the moment you put those altars back together, your life is going to change. I didn't put those altars back together till my freshman year of college. You understand? And from there, my life shifted. Because all that time, high school, all that, I'm going to church. In college, I'm going to church. I'm active in church, ministry, everything. And loving it. Can't nothing separate me from the love of God, you know. Can't nothing take me away from going to church on Sunday. I don't care who you are. I'm going to church. You understand? That's where I was. And that's phase and in that season of my life. And partially still today, but we'll get there later. But when when I put that all back together, again, how did I reach there? I'm in college, freshman in college, and I started to dream my ancestors. And I'm like, okay, is somebody getting ready to die or what's going on? Little did I know this was my ancestors reaching out to me. So guess what I did? I looked up spiritual stores near my home. I put in my address near me. And we lived on 60th and Green Street, but not on Green, a block over. Oh yeah, 60th and Green Street. We lived on Green. 60th and Green Street. The store is located still to this day on 31st and Green Street. Shout out to Augustine's religious supply store, spiritual supply store in Chicago. And went there. I racked up. I bought candles for my ancestors. I bought a Yemonja candle, a Bachelor candle, an Oshun candle, and an Ogun candle, and an Eshu candle, all one time. I sure did. And I got photos. Let me see if I can find them from my Google file. I'll share them. My very first altar that I set up, again, as an adult. And when I set it up, I put the Yemonja candle, I put her candle in a bowl of water. But again now, I'm still going to church, still active in church, not missing church, going to Monday night prayer at church, and still doing my spiritual things in private. Because why? My ancestors guided me to. And I always, since a little boy, I've always been pro-Black and pro-African. And so when we talk about that, that means, there's nothing about Africa somebody could tell me to put a sour taste in my mouth to say, oh, to disown or turn my back to. You can never. Not doing it. And so with that being said, honoring African spirits and honoring my ancestors just felt naturally right to me. I didn't question it. I didn't doubt it. You know, in my younger years, in my middle school years, yes, I was afraid to talk spiritual things because I was sneaking and watching Charmed. I was sneaking and watching Supernatural early, 3, 4 in the morning, watching Supernatural, all of those things. And I didn't share those things with people unless I heard somebody like talking about Charmed and all that, or I know somebody watched it, sure. But just say, no, there was discussion and conversation. No, there was not discussion and conversation. It remained hidden. And I'll give you guys a fun fact. My ex at the time, she was my girlfriend, Autumn, told me straight up. I remember we were having dinner and she told me, you're a highly spiritual person and you are very in tune with spirit and you love you love your ancestors. Don't you ever feel like you need to hide who you are? And nobody had ever affirmed me, proper English. Nobody had ever affirmed me in that regard. And we always say, no, we don't need validation. No one needs to give us validation for who we are. But I guarantee you, to hear a little bit of confirmation or hear a little bit of encouragement and motivation and push behind something that you're doing or something you're interested in, that does encourage you, and that little seed can go very far. So shout out to Autumn K. Hubbard, who did encourage me to wear my turbans to church, because I would wear them in private and at home and around friends and family. And she was like, no, wear your turbans, wear your stones. That's who you are. And if you're preaching and teaching to people and you're praying for people, you have to live in your truth. And that is real. And I did. And I slowly began to take steps to walk in my boldness. No, you may not just jump into it. Yes, you may have your gifts, and yes, you may want to do things and operate at the level that you may see people operating at. But you got to start somewhere. And I started small. I didn't start big. I didn't go spending hundreds of dollars on tools and equipment and going to readers. My ancestors showed me one deck of cards, Saints and Angels. I dreamt it. Saints and Angels deck of cards. Again, I was praying my rosary. And I had to ask myself, well, why do I feel called to the saints and the angels? And why did I feel called to pray rosary? Come to find out, again, my mom's mother ancestry being of Haitian descent, I had family that went Baptist, and I had family that went Catholic. Still not knowing at that time that Catholicism, to a degree, was connected to some forms of African spiritual practices. At that time, I didn't know it. But here I am now, dreaming Saints and Angel cards. So I got my deck of cards, and every day, every night, every day before school, before I would leave to go out to my class, I would pull 3 cards and some clarifying cards in communication with my ancestors. And at the end of the day, when the night is done and I come in for the day, I would do the same thing, pull 3 cards, and clarifying cards with my ancestors. And then I would burn my sage and burn my incense and simply pray. Burn my candles, burn my incense, and pray. Because again, prayer is key to everything. I started with prayer. Prayer is what brought me here. Prayer and my prayer life and my relationship with God opened my consciousness to dream and to travel and maneuver in the spiritual realm. It allowed me to see clear, and so I knew at the end of the day, prayer is the anchor, point blank, period. And so in my lighting candles, in my burning incense, it was accompanied with prayer. And there were nights when I would be praying so hard, and I got the pictures, y'all. I'm gonna send them to my WhatsApp, and I'm gonna share them on the screen. Wow. Look at God. I'm going to share them. I'm going to pull it up just so you guys can see how basic I started. You know, a lot of people try to start dramatically. I'm going to show you how basic it is. Um, and so when I would pray, there were nights I would take my prayer shawl, with the Hebrew writing that came from Israel, and be praying on the floor in front of the altar and wrapped up and tangled up in the Holy Ghost, as they would say, deep in spirit. And I would wake up the next day on the floor because I prayed myself to sleep and prayed and prayed. You understand? And that thing, it has got stronger. And what I began to notice, because this is an experience that a lot of you all probably have faced or are facing or will face, you know, be it from mates or family or friends or whatever, or your loved ones or the people you may live with, you know, as my prayers got stronger and I started to do more for my ancestors, you know, it was like my mother did not, and I don't blame her herself. I feel like it was her plus the energy attached to her. She may or may not agree, you know, but I felt as though as it was getting stronger, it was irritating more. It was irritating my mother more. You understand? Because she just like, why you burning them incense? Why you bringing that voodoo and that spiritual stuff into my house? Why you got them incense burning? That shit stank. Oh, I don't know if you need to be doing that. All the things, you know. And then my grandmother is coming with all the Levitical laws and all of the things. We ain't got to go down the list. Y'all know what I'm talking about. And so here you are now at this crossroads of, I love my family. I don't want to disrespect, and I have no bad intentions, and I don't want to harm anybody. And I don't know, but I also don't want anybody thinking that I'm crazy. And I also don't want to not follow through and continue to cultivate this relationship that I am developing with my ancestors in the spirit. And so, guess what I did? I still snuck and burned them incense. I would try to open my bedroom window and burn those incense and just take the cussing. I would take the cussing out. And at one point, my mother just got enough of it. For real. She did. And um, put my ass out. I came home from school, and she hate when I talk about it. But I came home from school, and my stuff was lined up by the door. You understand? Lined up. She was not having it. She was not having it. And I stood predominant. I could have, in that moment, said, "Okay, Ma, I'm going to go ahead and shut it down. I'm not going to do these things." I could have did that very well. Could have did it and stayed in my comfortable home in my comfortable bed, but I did not. I I I chose to stick to my ancestors because I had faith strong enough to believe that if you brought me this far, Myra B. Springfield, and if you've told me that yes, my life is going to change, but I'm going to be taken care of and provided for, and you visited me, then I don't got nothing to worry about. I also had to look at the fact too, because again, my knowledge and my relationship with Christ is on a different level, not a basic level. And so I had to also look at the fact that I'm going to go through, because also if I'm believing in Christ, and if I'm believing in my ancestors who died and bled and were whipped and beaten and enslaved for the comfort of a next person, out of their fear, I got to go through too. I got to go through too. And we talk about long suffering and all of that. I got to go through it too. And I know that my blessings will come. I will reap my reward accordingly. And so I went to my friend's house. Y'all, I ain't gonna lie, I was so hurt. My mama put me out. She didn't put me out. She packed up my shit. And then I'm on top of that, I'm cussing and I'm vexed. She destroyed, she got my altar all mashed up. She disrespected my altar. She just put everything in one bin. I'm upset and I'm angry. And I heard this settled voice say, calm down. Oh, I got a picture of that too. I'm gonna show the picture. Y'all gonna get my testimony, and y'all getting this story live from the horse's mouth today. And I got the proof and the receipts to prove it. You know, and the reading too. I'm gonna show y'all it. I was so angry. Like, how could she do this to me? Like, I'm her son. Why would she do that to me? I wasn't looking at the fact of that's her house and F what I got going on. This her house, and that's not what she want. I was not at that state of maturity. I was looking at this is related to God, and God told me to do this, and my ancestors told me to do this. You should understand. But long story short, I was so mad, y'all. I went home. Now, I didn't go home because I didn't have a home to go to. I went to my friend's apartment who allowed me to sleep on an air mattress. Shout out to Donatus, who allowed me to sleep on an air mattress in his one-bedroom apartment on the east side of Chicago, on over near 71st. If you know if you know, you know, you know. And I remember going to the gas station, buying 2 Black and Milds and going by the Weed Man. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. I went by the Weed Man, bought 2 Black and Milds at the gas station, and I was so heavy. I couldn't even. I'm looking for the picture, so I'm multitasking, y'all. I couldn't. Yep, over east. I couldn't even, y'all. I was so distraught. I couldn't even take the stuff out of the car. I'd have had no energy to take none of that stuff out of the car. I was like, nope, I can't do it. Oh, here go the reading, y'all. Oh my God, I got the photo. This is going back down memory lane. Oh my Lord. Wow. I found a photo. So I'm sharing all these photos with y'all too. So you're going to see what I'm talking about as well. And so I got the photo and I'll break down the reading because it's right here. Damn. So, hey, I remember rolling 2 joints and I was smoking Garcia Vegas at that time. I rolled papers now, but I was smoking Garcia Vegas at that time. Rolled 2 joints and had a Black and Mild, and I believe he had a Rolling Rock beer, because my friend loved Rolling Rocks beer in a green bottle. And I heard this voice say, you know, calm down. And I'm like, what do you mean calm down? I just got put out. What I'm going to do? You understand? I can't stay in this apartment with him. You understand? I can't do that. Like, what's going on? And I pulled my cards. Mine just said, pull your cards. I literally heard, it's like I didn't hear a voice. I'm going to be clear with you. I didn't hear the voice. I saw myself pulling the cards. I had a glimpse. Like if you see self out of self, I saw myself pulling the cards. And so that translated to, again, spirit divine telling me, divine and see, go and look and see what's going on. And I did that. And so now, when I began to pull those cards, it was plain as day. I got to show you all this. Hold up, y'all. I got to show you all this. Let me see, how can I add? I'm still learning how these interfaces and things work. Oh, okay. I think I could do it. Oh, maybe because I'm in the live already, I can't. But I'll post them on my I'll post them on my timeline when I can. And so and you guys will see them. Or I can post them in the comments. I can show you all in the comments. Facebook, you'll be able to see them. In the comments, I'll post them. And so long story short, as I was saying, I remember rolling that joint and pulling them cards, and the cards was clear as day. I'm about to post it in the comments. And God pretty much told me I had to forgive my mother. I could not live in anger. I could not live in anger towards her. And that anger didn't leave overnight. I can't lie to y'all. That anger did not leave overnight. That wasn't something that I just released like that. It took me some time. It took me some time to really forgive my mother and grow into a state of maturity to understand the situation, how it happened, and understand that it was all God's will at the end of the day. It pushed me to step out. It pushed me to mature as an adult. I'm in college. I'm working. And hell, as my mother said, you want to be grown? I'm doing my spiritual stuff. I need my own space. I needed my own space. And so shout out to my aunt who helped me get an apartment. And within the first few months of being in that apartment, someone found me on Facebook. Mind you, I never posted I did readings. I never posted on Facebook I do readings at this point. Because again, I'm still growing and settling within myself. I ain't reached there yet. So I wasn't posting that I'm doing readings and all of that. But somebody found me and said they saw my photo and was drawn to me. This is my homegirl Tiara, and we happen to have the same birthday. She lived all the way in Montgomery, Alabama. Tiara. And she said, I saw your photo. And mind you, at this as she's calling me, I had just picked Donatus up from work, and we walking up the back stairs of his apartment to go in the crib. And she calling me, telling me, hello, I saw your photo on Facebook, and it's something about you I was drawn to, and I'm going through a situation, and some in my spirit telling me that I could talk to you and you could help me. And I said, well, how did you find me? And they was just scrolling Facebook. I think it was, I don't know, maybe some public post I posted that was like an inspirational post, because I used to always post inspirational posts. I don't know how to Tiara find me. She have to tell us one of these days. I'll bring her on. And she told me she could do it. And I had to tell her, well, yes, I just started reading, but I only read for myself. I never read for anybody. I don't know how to read for anybody, but I will try my best. Boy, when I tell you, when I did the reading for Tiara and we finished the reading, she was crying on that call. So I know, obviously, it had to be real. And I also knew that God was real. The same God, you understand, had to be real because she found me. God sent her. And it was for a purpose. And on top of that, we had the same birthday. Different year of birth, but same birthday. And so this is all is uncovering all at the same time. All this is happening at the same time. And even as I'm telling you all this, it's 9 viewers according to what I see. And 9 is a number of Oya, which is a number of transformation. Now, during this period, I'm still in school, and I'm meeting people from all over the world. I went to a very diverse school, a private school that was very diverse. And here it is now, I'm reading and I'm developing a relationship with my ancestors. I began to create my home, my apartment began to become a safe space for my friends. And in that happening, I became like the little big brother, because all of my friends were older than me. And still to this, all of my friends are older than me. But I became the little big brother. And in that, using my gift, still ministering, still sometimes sound like an old Baptist preacher, but still letting Spirit use me to deliver a message, and using my gifts of incense and ability to working with herbs to help my friends. And that was my foundation. And guess what? Yes, I still got up and went to church on Sundays, because nothing within me made me feel, although my mom had rhetoric, although my grandmother had rhetoric of what it meant to practice what I'm practicing, and to even come from a family that were practitioners at one point in time, it was very interesting. And I stood firm on my belief. I stood firm on it. And I didn't allow anyone to make me question. I had already went past that. You can call me Tell me I'm doing devil work, believing in all of that, all you want to. I know where I stood with God. I know that I love God and that God loved me. I know that my ancestors loved me and I love my ancestors. And I knew that my gifts and abilities weren't something that I went somewhere to pick up or something that I read in a book or something that someone put on me, but something that was a part of me my entire life. And I had it shifted into fully embracing myself. And as I begin to now talk about this journey, and as you guys know, some of you guys from back in the day, Sonia, you may have remember, even you too, Arlinda, I used to do lives. Just how I'm doing lives now. We didn't have all these streaming platforms. There was no lives on Instagram. There were no lives or even a thing of TikTok. And there was no way to bridge the Facebook and the YouTube. And so I would only Facebook Live and I would speak. Spirit would arrest me, whether it was on my drive to work, whether it was um, even to this my baby right here, Ariel, even if it was on my drive home from work, even if it was, getting out of my, I would do lives and God would just give me these downloads and would come. And I, even then, I have to, even now, like now, I have to watch myself and my delivery and my tone and my energy, because sometimes when I look back at those old lives, I'd be like, damn, you was coming with some pressure. I don't know if the people could receive all that energy and that pressure because I was talking fast and I was coming with so much passion and energy that those that were ready did receive. A lot of people did receive. Actually, I had a lot more clientele and busy work than I do now. Fun fact. But it was the fire. I realized now it was the fire that of the spirit within me and the fire of the portal opening up and needing to be open for people to walk through. You understand? And so I began to live. And so as I went forward now, I remember while in my shop, working for one of my clients, actually, who is the OG client as well. She's the first person I read for in person. Actually, I spoke at an event, a Martin Luther King event. Shout out to Seed Lynn, who used to host a safe space for us in Hyde Park for creatives and consciously awakened people. And he had asked me to do a presentation and to speak for Martin Luther King. And in that experience, I was in what we would call in voodoo, je clair. I was in that energy where I could feel Martin Luther King like channeling through me and delivering messages. And I'm having, like, I'm there, even I have pictures of that too, there, but I'm like in two places at one time. And this beautiful sister was there and she waited. Even she tells me to this day, in that night when she was waiting for me to read for her, she was going to leave because she thought I was taking too long, but something would not allow her to leave, so she waited. And so in that now, it began to cause me to take this thing even more serious. Still going to, and I'm gonna keep reminding y'all, I was still going to church on Sunday. I never became one of those persons. I was wise to never become, or I never had a reason to become one of those persons to say, oh, leave the church, oh, the church this, oh, the church that. What I began to speak on, and even to this day I still speak on it, is that we have to separate spirit from religion, and even understand how religion and organized religions were formed and created and how we were conditioned a certain way. And once you can bypass that, you can be a Christian and still go to a Hindu temple. You can be a Hindu and still go to a church and still feel the presence of God and receive food for your well-being if you allow yourself to. And so it was not a matter of religion for me, but I knew I love my church, Greater Harvest. Shout out to Greater Harvest. And in this Greater Harvest being 100 and something years old already by the time I became a member, I was seeing miracles and energy manifest in that place that I had never seen in any other church before. I had seen real miracles happen. I had seen real, as we would say, real conjure work happen. And even so, I hope my church members don't find offense when I say that. But for the old saints, as they would talk about, my pastor would talk about how his mother, when he would be sick, would take a glass of water He talk about this in his sermons, how he would, and say, talk about faith. Again, they don't have the terminologies that we may have, metaphysical science, conjure, root work, all the fancy words, but they know it. It is in us. And so Greater Harvest was a great space for me to exist in the outside world as a practitioner and exist in a space of ministry and thrive in that space and still authentically be me. Because in that space, my pastor would talk about how he would be sick and his mother would take a glass of water and cut the Bible on a particular scripture and leave that glass of water and pray over that water and give him to drink as medicine. He would talk about how Elder Body used to have the day in the water, and there were no hospitals and ambulances services that would serve Black people on the south side of Chicago. So Greater Harvest became a hospital for folks that he bought ambulance of his own to transport people, and they will have revival, and they will have shut-in services and open up the pool, the day in the water. We still to this day have that at Greater Harvest, the day in the water, where that water has been consecrated, prayed over, anointed, so that when people begin to take a dip, and baby, let me tell you how much memory. That water, we have a container, Greater Harvest. I say we because I'm still a member of Greater Harvest. The water container, we have a wooden water container that has been in the church from the very beginning. Actually, it's sacred to us, and it's a red cloth over it. And that water, oh God, we can talk. Listen, memory and energy and spirit. And I have seen tumors sped up. I have seen cancer be healed. I have seen mental disorders. Hello. And this ain't no Peter Popoff miracle spring water I'm talking about. This is real spirit. And whereas, yes, the elders and the saints or the old folks in my church may not refer to some of the things or identify, they know what I'm talking about. They may not use a terminology, I'm sorry. They may not use a terminology that I may use, but it was a beautiful space to be in. And I would encourage anybody to go there, that is serious about developing a relationship and strengthening their prayer life and understanding God in spirit and the Christian realm of things, because my Pastor Thomas would speak about spirit and energy. Again, he was not a metaphysician. He didn't like candles. He didn't light incense. I didn't go to that kind of church. I went to a sanctified church, but we believed in spirit, not spirits. We believed in the Holy Ghost. We believed in Jesus Christ, and we believed in Father. You understand? But I, on the other hand, still had my personal understanding of God and the Spirit, and I walked in that. And for those that had eyes to see it, they saw it, and those that didn't, did not. But I was never judged or criticized for being who I am. You understand? And I can respect every member of Greater Harvest. No one has ever judged me and criticized me for me living in my truth. But then we talk about the journey of my spiritual life going to the next level. It became a point in time where spirit demanded my time and presence more spiritually to serve my clients, because people were coming in with heavy things, and it was the same prayer life that I had to use to help them, in addition to the other things that my ancestors had taught me. I didn't go and learn in a book. I didn't sit under nobody again. I didn't even have a reader yet. You understand? And so that's the story. Actually, one person did read for me, the Voodoo King. He was a Puerto Rican guy from 21 Divisions that did read for me when I was on my journey to understand this thing a little bit better. And that real reading, I can remember to this day, still holds a lot of truth to it. And so to that point, I still didn't go around looking for a lot of people or looking. I waited on God, and I moved with the Spirit. And while living in my apartment, I get a phone call from a store owner asking me to come in and read, because she heard that I'm a reader. She heard good things, and she needed help because her in-house reader is no longer working with her, blase. And I ended up, that's how Sonia and Arlinda, you guys met me at Zuri. That's how I came to Zuri. The owner reached out to me. I never went looking for these things. And my journey with Zuri shifted my life for the better. It allowed me to cultivate my gift. It allowed me to teach prayer and meditation to those that lived in the neighborhood and that needed to advance in their spirit and in their being, you know. And so I needed to be in that space, and that space helped me. Even people from the church would come and see me too that needed some help, and that is okay, you know. And so I say that to say, know your foundation. All of you come from a foundation, be it that Islam, be it Christianity, be it Judaism, you know, be it Jehovah's Witness. You have a foundation, and everything that you were exposed to plays a role. Don't think that because you come into spirituality that you have to give away or toss the Bible out the window or toss the Quran out the window or the Torah out the window, or you have to do those wild, extravagant things, and you don't. You have to shift your thinking. You have to change your thinking. You have to change how you perceive God. You have to change your relationship and strengthen your relationship with the source that is neither male or female, the creator of all things. You have to learn to decode. Make time to study. Study is important. Make time to decode the mysteries in the Torah and the Quran and the Bible. They talk about the angels. They talk about the stones on the blessed plate of righteousness. They talk about frankincense and myrrh. They talk about consecrating your home. They talk about anointing your doorposts. They talk about blending hyssop with oils. You understand? These things are right in the scriptures. We just were never taught it. And we were taught to be afraid of it. And we were taught as Black people that it was wrong. Because if we connect ourselves to the ways of our ancestors, we will be too far gone, or we will have access to too much power. But I want to encourage you tonight to tap into your power. I want to encourage you tonight to tap into your strength. I want to encourage you to study to show yourself approved, because Jesus was a mystic. Jesus was just like me. Jesus went to the schools of schools. He went to India. He went to Thailand. He went to Tibet. He went to Egypt. And there's proof. If you don't want to acknowledge it, that's your choice. I'm not here to convince you. But I had to come into the enlightenment to know who Jesus was, not who I was taught he was, not who I was taught him to be, but come into the factual knowledge of who he was. And in looking at who he was, I saw myself. Hello, somebody. And looking at who he was, I saw myself. And looking at Arumala, I see myself. And looking at Shiva and Buddha, I see myself. Because he's an elevated ancestor. Ibashe Egungun. He's not in Arumala, but he ascended to a higher place. He ascended to a higher place that we all have to reach to. Laws of character, how to live right, how to live in good character, laws on how to forgive, laws on how to be patient, how to be kind, how to save, how to be wise, how to be strong, how to persevere past your adversities, how to walk past your enemies that have stabbed you, spit on you, beat on you, cause confusion. Many of us are going to church. Many of us are initiated. Many of us are a part of these orders and societies and don't even have fucked up minds. I'm gonna tell you straight. Have terrible, wretched hearts. Have no conviction. Have no patience. Have no awareness. And we are so bold in our Christendom that we're so ignorant. And what I mean by that is you can't even listen to somebody else. You talking about you're a Christian, but you standing 10 toes down on Old Testament teachings that had nothing to do with Christ. Let's tell the truth and shame the devil. That had nothing to do with the bylaws on how to live in accordance to the true God that your Christ talks about. Many of you have not met that mark in your character, in your thinking, in your understanding, even in your confidence within yourself. Even within the confidence within yourself. You don't even believe in yourself enough. But yet we talk about we're such a Christian. Do you really know? Are you really walking after the one that you proclaim to follow? And so for myself, I chose to do the work. I spent nights and days watching Hidden Colors. I remember trying to convince my mother to watch it. She said, hell no, I don't care to listen to that. And this is Black history. You have Black folks choosing not to listen to Black history. They don't want to know Black history. They don't want to know what was before you were a slave. They don't want to know what was before there was this thing called Christianity. People don't want to know. They don't want to know. And so you choose to be ignorant. But yet we say God made us wise. Come now. It's like it's so oxymoronic. And so I had to truly get within myself and edify myself. It was not just learning magic and spells, because spirituality is not about that. Spirituality is not about magic and spells and sacrifices and readings. It's not about that. That's a part of it. That's a part of it. It is a part of it. But you yourself is the magic. You yourself is the spell. You yourself have the power to move things because you do it every day. You do it every day. When you think good, good things happen. When you think bad and you do bad, bad things happen. When you put the work and the energy in to manifest and make something of yourself or of a situation, it comes out the way it's supposed to. But when you choose not, or you half-ass it, or you don't apply yourself, or you don't ask for help, or you don't research, or you don't have the patience, bad things happen. It's simple. It's not complex. It's not complex at all. I don't want to make this thing complex. It's not complex. I'm just sharing with y'all my journey and my experience, and how I got to this point. And yes, I still go to church. I go to a different kind of church. I go to a spiritualist. I go, as they would say, I go to a spiritual church that we believe in the ancestors. And I can still sing my hymns, and I can still call on and pray my African language, and I can still sing to my Orisha, and still acknowledge my Hindu Devis, and still be one with myself. Why? Because I choose to be one with God. Does that mean you need to go look for a spiritual church and everybody thinks the same way? No. You need to research, you need to question, you need to observe. You need to understand anything that you become a part of and get yourself in. That's why I spend so much time before I even started helping people. I spent a lot of time equipping myself. I grew up with a grandfather that made me watch every video of Roots on VHS. I grew up with a grandfather that made me sit with him under the stars to talk about the mothership and the constellation and the life beyond the moon. My grandfather planted these seeds, My grandmother planted the seeds of prayer life and Bible. My grandfather planted the seeds of science and higher thinking and critical thinking. And all of it has to work together. So I want to encourage you to come outside of your state of fear. Again, and if you are confident in yourself, and if you are confident in your walk as a whatever you proclaim to be, nothing anyone says or does should be able to take you from where you are. If anything, someone should help you to understand better. Someone should give you the confirmation why you believe, or someone can edify you and add to what you know already. It's if you choose to receive, and no, not everything you need to receive. You cannot receive and eat from everybody, but you can share, because what did Christ do when he went to these various places with people that know nothing about Christian or Abrahamic law? He saw them for who they was, and he observed their way of thinking and their way of life, and he took and gained what he could apply, just like we're to do. And what works for you, but still stay true to your foundation and get rid of and let go of the things that don't serve you. It's simple. I ain't here to preach to nobody. I ain't here to convert nobody, but I want y'all to know that it can happen. And you're going to have people in the spiritual world. You're going to have people in the Ifa community. You're going to have people in the Orisha community, Voodoo community. I'll tell you a fun fact too. Most initiated Haitians and Louisiana Creole people that practice Haitian Voodoo, and even for those people that are Spanish that practice Lucumi or Santeria or Condomble, about 80% of them go to church and are baptized and are Christian, whether they're Catholic or Pentecostal. You have Haitians that are both Catholic and Pentecostal. And then you have a population or group that don't go to church or deal with the church at all. And so, no, we cannot completely get rid of, because Christ is an ancestor. It's what energy of Christ you choose to deal with and you get in tune with, because there's a difference. But Christ is an ancestor. And Because we've elevated that energy. The energy of Christ is potent, because for so many years and generation and how much blood has been spilled, whether it was for good intentions or bad intention, all of that went to amplifying this energy of the Christ. You understand? And so it is necessary to know why you believe what you believe. Past what your mama told you, past what your grandma told you, past what the preacher told you, past what the imam and the rabbi told you. Why do you believe what do you believe? Mic drop. Why? Why do you feel connected to this way of life or this way of thinking? And then the third one is, are you being true to this way of life or the way of life that you proclaim to follow? Are you being true to it? Are you truly applying yourself? Are you truly trying to abide by the laws and principles that are associated with it? Because people get tied up in thinking you got to know the Bible from front to scripture. No, identify the mysteries, learn the stories, understand the morals. You understand the timing. Hell, King James may not work for you. Get an NIV, get an Amplified, get a New English, get a African. They got the Bible in Gullah Geechee too, so you can get it in the black version of English as well. You understand? Get it in the way that you can understand it. But if that's not for you in this season, and it's not working for you, that is okay too. But I'm encouraging you, don't just be sitting here like a sitting duck having conversations with folk, trying to watch TikTok and YouTube and think you're going to learn it all. Even by listening to me, I can't teach you all in the podcast. You still got to call me. You still got to ask questions. You still got to research. You still got to verify the resources that I'm giving you. You still got to spend time with the information, and you got to build on it. So at the end of the day, bottom line, it takes work. You got to do the work. You got to put the work in. And nothing is going to come easy. So I encourage you, don't be just a sitting duck. Please don't be just a sitting duck. Take time to do what is necessary and what is needed to be the best version of yourself. Anchor and ground yourself accordingly. And come out of this state of fear, because a lot of you are walking in fear and repeating rhetoric and words and demonizing people and disencouraging people and condemning folks because you're afraid of what you don't even know. And you're repeating what Big Mama said, you're repeating what the preacher said, and guess where that stemmed from? Colonialism, indoctrination, conditioning. And when you sit and ask yourself, does it really have to do with authentic spiritual understanding? Because if we read in the Bible right, you'll understand that God created good, bad, ugly, and indifferent, quote unquote, good and evil, light and dark. All of it was created by God. So to have a view that the creator source is just all good and there's nothing else that exists other than Jesus and his son, then you're a fool. And then you're further a fool if you choose not to understand, because some of you are under spiritual attacks and you're praying and you're trying to accomplish certain goals and you're not meeting them, or not, it's not following through, and you don't understand why. And that is because you're not equipped fully to deal with it. Prayer is great and prayer accomplishes a lot, but prayer does not do everything. It requires you to do the work. I pray that, I really have helped you all tonight. We had a rough start because the comments in the beginning was throwing me off. I ain't lying to you. Them earlier comments was a little strange, but I had to realize I'm on social media, and people have the liberty to say what they want, even if it's non-related. And it helps me at the long run. So thank you. I thank you all. But at the end of the day, I want you all, again, this is not for the spiritual people to go back to church. And this is, again, not for the Christians to turn your back on spiritual people. And it's for those of you that are spiritual and still have a relationship or connection or love for gospel music or hearing a good sermon or being in a space of community. Because that's why I still love church. Community. Well, I love my church for community and some. But at the bottom line, why did I still go to church while a practitioner in Chicago? It's because of community and the love that I felt and the power of prayer. The power of prayer and the power of collective prayer. Even that is magic within itself. The Bible says when 2 or 3 are gathered, we speak about the collective consciousness. Same thing, same thing, being on one accord for a common goal and a common interest, and seeing to it that that interest manifests, you know. And at the end of the day, what is needed? Prayer, faith in that prayer, the work required, whether it be your offering, your discipline, your fasting, your sacrifice, your quiet time with self, or your quiet time with God, you know, that's what it requires. Those things don't change no matter where you go. Some people are, there's a lot of people looking for shortcuts. There's a lot of people that think they're going to get certain things because they have the money to pay for it, or they think because they paid for it, or they're going to get it easy. No. Or because they are associated to or born into a certain bloodline or a part of a certain group of people or go to a certain church or temple, that they're going to get it easy. No. Everyone have our own walk. Everyone is responsible for their growth and being obedient to that higher self. You can call it the Holy Ghost, you can call it the Ori, you can call it the higher consciousness, you can call it the Spirit Divine, you can call it however, until you reach to the level to identify who is actually talking to you. You know, so let's just move better. For real. Let's move better, people. I believe we can do it. I believe all of us are capable, but let's move better. Let's move more wise, you know. And let's really move with more love. But if we're honest to God truth, a lot of you all need to work on loving yourself more. Take time to really love on yourself. Take time to really start to really heal and put those broken pieces back together. Put the broken pieces together. And if something is not serving you, let it go. If someone is not being reciprocal with you, let them go. If you are overly exhorting yourself and you are not resting, rest. All of you, whether you are Christian, non-Christian, spiritual, non-spiritual, just out here trying to learn and figure it out, protect your darn self. Cover yourself. Protect yourself. Be it with a symbol, a seal, jewelry, colors, prayer, whatever works for you. Know what works for you. But cover yourself in protection, because we are living in an interesting time, and anything is liable to happen. You know, anything is liable to happen. But do not allow hate and anger to fester because of your Christian experience. Don't allow those that identify as Christians that have judged you and condemned you make you feel less worthy of God's love, or make you feel less worthy or knowledgeable or gifted or called or chosen. Don't let that get under your skin, because you are gifted. You are chosen for times such as this. And maybe you are the Christ of your family. Maybe you have to be ridiculed. Maybe you have to be spit on. Maybe you have to be, you know, put in situations that cause you to be made stronger. Maybe you have to go through the fire and the flood. You're still alive to tell the story. You understand, and you're still pushing. But what I want to encourage you is to not stop. I didn't stop. Once I made the commitment and I told my grandmother I'm going to do this, and I put that altar back together, I have not lived without an altar yet. You know, and it's not just the fact of, oh, the material things of the altar. It is the space of reverence. It is the energy that is dwelling within a space. It is the doorway for the divine to enter. It's no different than why we have an altar at the church. It's no different than why you can't go into certain places with your shoes on. It is honor and respect. But also know that in honoring your ancestors, know that in honoring the angels, you are honoring a part of you. You are involved. Your ancestors are connected to you, and you are connected to them. You understand? So at the end of the day, it goes back to you. And that is the real secret. And so if we just take a little bit of time to think, to observe, to question, to let go of the fear, to embrace more of your truth. Embrace it. You have nothing to prove. You have no one to that is paying your bills or making decisions for you but you. You know, do it respectfully. And let me say this, because this happens a lot. when you come into growth and knowledge and awareness, do not start judging, because what happens is you become the person that you just tried to heal from. Do not try to judge and make someone feel less than or unworthy or ignorant. You be the wise one. You take time and patience. Be mindful of delivery, be mindful of wording, because again, I've had to learn and mature in my deliveries, because sometimes I can be so educated. I start speaking over people's head, and the whole message is lost. They don't even know what words I just said, you know. And so again, wisdom teaches me to learn how to communicate on all levels. And I'm still growing and still evolving and still learning. And so for you all, take time, especially for those of you that are walking in higher knowledge, higher science, higher awareness. When you are in spaces where you may hear a conversation, or you may see a transaction or something that may not be the best, or you feel like you have wisdom or insight you want to share, ask yourself first, is this the right time to share the information? Is this the right person to be sharing this information with? And then furthermore, ask for the words. If it is in fact the time and the space, ask for the words, the tone and the delivery to be clear in a manner in which the person that is on the receiving end will be able to receive from you wholeheartedly. You understand? Because you know that you're coming from a pure place, and you're conscious of what you're doing, you're conscious of what you're saying, you're conscious of why you're saying it. And again, those things are very key, because we want to take accountability and responsibility of how we're showing up. Each one teach one. We are our brothers and our sisters keeper. And we have to do the work to lift each other up. And let me also close off with saying, be okay if someone never reaches where you are. It may not be their path in this life. It may not be their destiny in this life. So don't you go getting worked up. Don't you go getting angry. Don't you go closing everyone off, because some people still, at whatever level they're on, may be called to be in your life. And you do not want to close or burn bridges with people that are meant to be there just because they don't speak the same language. So have patience. I love you all. And I pray tonight was beneficial. Again, I'm going to post a flyer, and I'll talk about the services I offer. Oh, it won't let me switch. It won't let me switch. And so I have to end the live. Let me see. Yeah, it won't let me switch. But you guys saw the flyer, so I can talk about it. So I do readings. I don't, until I take my last breath, and I'm at retirement age. I don't see myself ever stopping from doing readings. So readings are always available. You just have to reach out. You can text me. That is my direct number, not a Google number. This is my direct number. So you can call me. You can schedule. You can reach out. If you want to have a Q&A, it's not always just about reading. Q&A is also a consultation. And so that could be, this is what you're trying to do. You need some guidance on what's the best way to go about doing it. You can ask those type of questions. I will help you with your spell work. I may give you my recipes depending upon the situation, but on a general basis, if you already have a recipe or an idea, I will give you tools and ways to enhance what you're doing. You know what I mean? And then when we talk about mentorship is not related to, mentorship is holistic, mind, body, and soul. So you may not be a practitioner. You may not be trying to learn how to do spells. You may not be trying to learn how to work for people. You just want to get you together and learn how to cultivate yourself on this spiritual journey. The mentorship will be good for you. And then I do have the one-on-one training, which practitioner training, which comes with mentorship, but also the engaging of guiding and teaching and cultivating you as a practitioner, whether that's reading, spell workings, channeling, elemental science, spiritually, all of that covers that. And so we'll get into that. And then you guys know house calls. If you need me to come and do a house call, whether that is a in-person reading and or spiritual work, house cleanses, um, all of that, excavations, all of that is under that. And then when we talk about what else did I post? Everything. I think I posted everything. I do have a school. I do have a school where I teach online. And so, for those of you that are actually serious about taking it to the next level, you have to let me know. I don't know what you need and what you want or where you are if you're not communicating. I don't go invading and minding people's businesses. I don't do that. So, if you are in seek of help, if you are in seek of growth and knowledge, if you just simply need some resources, like what books am I reading or have I read, what documentaries have I read or watched that has helped me, I'll be more than willing to share them with you. And so just reach out and ask. Tonight has been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure. I got to share and be very vulnerable with you all and share a lot of my experience with you, because you guys are supposed to get to know me. And so, as I'm getting to know you all, and so I love you all. I genuinely, genuinely love you all, and I thank you for all that you all are doing, your time, your presence, your energy, your positive vibes, and even receiving the little bit of wisdom that I have. I pray that you all have a beautiful night. Um, for someone, maybe morning or you're going into midnight, I pray that you rest well. I pray that you sleep well, and I pray that you have a glorious rest of the week. And if not, don't try to stay in a zone of anger. Do things that will shift your energy. Love you all. Odabo. Oh, I can't even end the live, y'all. Hold up. It won't let me end the live. Just now. I'm going to have to refresh. Okay. Oh, actually, let me see something. Oh, I can show the pictures. Give me a second. I think I can show you all the pictures that I was talking about. Yes, actually, I was. Let me show you all. Let me see how it comes up. I'm gonna add all. Y'all add all of them. Y'all are gonna be very like really, and you get to be able to see like what it was like for me in the earlys. And so I'm actually gonna show you all. Oh, can you all see it? Oh, hold up. Hold up 1 second. Oh. Oh, okay. I can do it like this. Media. Add. Image. Okay, so I actually have to widen that so you guys can see. Yeah, so you all could actually see my very first. And I have my wallet there, my sage. I was burning my sage again. Y'all don't judge me. I was just starting. So that is a blue pillowcase, okay, and 2 wooden tables that I was given from my office for the company I was working for at the time. So when I say my altar as an adult started very basic, very basic. Y'all see that? Can I change it? Hold up. Hold up. Okay. I want to change something for a second. Video. Okay. Um. Okay. Yeah, I can take me off, so you guys could actually see. In my bedroom, And this bedroom eventually became the shrine room when I moved back to my mom's house, because yes, my mom put me up, but I eventually moved back home. I did move back home a little bit before my mom moved to Georgia. And so my old bedroom where it all started eventually became my shrine room. It's not oh, I can do okay, I can't change the orientation of the video, but you guys get the drift. There is one more that I also want to show you all. The reading I talked about when I moved back, when I left and I was coming back home to my mom. Oh, here we go. I gotta share it like this. Yeah, when I came back, no, I apologize. I'm getting tongue tied. I apologize, you all. Give me a second. There we go. So when my mom put me out and I was out, this is the reading. You guys are about to see exactly how the setup was. Okay, let me save this in my camera. Okay, so I think I can do it now. Let me add it. Then you guys will be able to see. Add scene media. Yep, here it is. Oh no, it's not showing all. But you can see the gist. I'm gonna post it, but it was actually, it was a few cards. But if you see right here, still and all, you get the drift. Be brave, healing. Right at the top of the reading, at the top of the pyramid was healing, miracle, and forgiveness. And then after that was mother. So it couldn't get no clearer than that. You understand? It couldn't get no clearer than that. And so, oh, there it is. I didn't know that's what it required me to do. Y'all see the setup? The weed sitting right there, the black and mild, the grinder, my Saints and Angels deck. And that was the spread. Blessings, I thought not mother. Blessings of abundance. Pause. Be brave, healing, miracles, forgiveness, and vision. Confirmation that in order for me to obtain the blessings that I was praying for, asking for, and deserving of, I had to, one, move in patience, move in grace. Also be fearless, be brave, because I didn't know what was next, but also heal and trust the process, but most importantly, forgive in order for the vision to indeed manifest. And so, yeah, that's how it went. That is how it went. And I wouldn't change any of it. I would not change any of it, because it has made me a wiser, a more gentler, patient. And even my mom and I got closer as I moved back to Georgia. And not even initially as I moved back to Georgia. It still took time, because my mother also had to grow and come into herself and her liberties and freedoms a little bit more too. And so everyone has to grow. That's just the bottom line. Everyone has to grow. And we cannot stay stuck, or stagnant, or you'll never get anywhere. And so I tell you all, at the end of the day, live in your truth, love yourself, have patience. This is the official good night, because I think I can end it now. I couldn't end it before, but that's okay. It allowed me to do what I needed to do. But I love you all. I sincerely love you all. And again, if you guys have any questions, need any services, any guidance, whatever it may be, reach out. And I'd love to help you all. If you need to take my number, you can take my number. But it's also available on my social media, so it's not hard to get it. But you guys have an idea. This is it. Divination training, mentorship, spell workings, life coaching, one-on-one, practitioner development, divination training for those of you that are looking to learn how to do readings, divination training, house calls. And then for those of you that call seeking to get work done, like you need love work, protection work, healing work, All of that starts with the reading, because clients can come and tell you one thing and it can have something else going on. And so, for my safety and protection, and for the client who's paying their money and it be a cost effective, um, it is best that I do a reading first. So you'll always have to get a reading or consultation first, period, before we do any spell work. In addition to that, then the spell workings or spiritual work will be an additional cost. And so, with that being said, I'm going to say good night, because my day has been long. My days have been long, and new things have started for me. So, you guys pray that everything goes well, and I'm excited. I pray that new doors and open up for you all as well. Again, I love you all and enjoy your evening.
I love, I love, I love, I love. Sun rays like a satellite. Energies bring me back to life. Catch me chilling with the halo. Universal flow, I belong here. Keep that focus on that starlight. God of my universe, part of my mission, righteous the all might. Raw splitting the sea into that clear sight. Go far intuition, lifting up that soul right. I love, I love, I love, I love. Elevate my love, generate my touch. Everything I see coming to me.
I can be honest with my people. And when I'm honest with my people best know how to serve me. It's no different than being spiritual and talking to God and your spirits in prayer. When I'm real with myself and real with the spirit best knows how to aid me. You understand? And so we have to think about these things.
So before we get into the juices of meeting our twin flames and all that good stuff, what is a twin flame to you?
It's your mirrored soul. It's your divine partner. It's literally you, just in another body. And when I say it's the balance of the masculine and the feminine, it can be two men together, it could be two women together. It's just who carries what more dominant energy. It's the combination or the representation of holy love. It's love with a purpose, because your twin flame is someone you are agreed to incarnate with in this dimension, to perform a particular task, to raise the vibrations of earth, to
generate my touch. Everything I see coming to me, I'm knowing. Fruits that I bear from the sowing. I just put in work to the morning, to the three bird that we heard. Stepping through the light, that's a rebirth. Giving thanks to life and the ether. I can never fall when I'm free word.